preparing for a possible divorce. I'm sure you've heard the saying about cooking a frog. Put it in a pot of cold water and slowly increase the heat. By the time she notices it, it's already boiled. Really? I've never tried it myself. My name is Wendell. Perfect name for a cuckold, huh? My wife's name is Abby. She was and still is gorgeous. We met in college in business class. I was going into engineering, but I wanted to learn more about business in case I invented something I wanted to patent and sell on my own. Abby was going into business. She was going to take over her father's car dealership, Honda, Jeep, Chrysler. She was looking for a man who could provide her with an extra income so she could enjoy the luxuries of life until her avaricious father put her in charge or died, whichever came first. Despite the attention of many men who looked better than me, we dated and married. I felt so happy. After a few years, we seemed to have everything: a nice house, cars, thanks to her father's dealership, of course, and great sex. We kept 3 accounts: mine, hers, and ours. Abby's father made sure I wasn't part of her future business and readily agreed not to bid on any business I might create, especially since I didn't have any at the time. My opinion of her father was that he was a typical used car salesman who somehow started a dealership. He later proved that I wasn't far from the truth. As we approached the infamous 7-year mark of marriage, I noticed a decrease in the frequency and intensity of sex on Abby's part. I was about to say something when she brought it up. "Wendell, we have a really good life, and I love you more than ever." I thought, this is it, but I'm afraid our life is getting boring. I wish we could do something to liven it up. Like what? I was afraid of her answer. Maybe watch adult movies or something. That sounds good. I didn't realize I'd just been put in a pot of cold water. Abby brought home these movies that we watched together, and it really spiced up our lives. We tried to imitate some of the things we saw on the videos. Some of them worked for us, and some of them failed because we weren't flexible enough. After a couple months, Abby started bringing in videos that showed threesomes. They seemed to really turn her on. Shortly afterward, she asked, "Have you ever thought about having a threesome?" "It's hard not to, considering the videos we've seen. What do you want to do?" "Since we both know how secure our marriage is and how much we love each other, what if we tried a threesome with a real person? A woman or a man? And how would that work? You can look for a woman willing to do it, and I can look for a man. Whoever finds a man first invites him to a threesome. Then we can decide if we want to try again or not. What do you think?" "I don't know. I need to think about it." "Let me help you decide. I want to show you how much it turns me on just thinking about it," Abby continued to give me fantastic sex. The burner under the pot just turned on. Guess who found the man first? Abby announced that Leonard was coming over Saturday night to meet me. He was a rather handsome, somewhat older man, very confident. He was a customer who had bought a car from her. Abby served us drinks and sat down with Leonard on the couch, while I settled into a chair. After a few idle conversations, Abby offered to promote the show. She said the guest should go first since I had been with Abby many times before. She and Leonard stood up. He slowly undressed her, kissing her as he went. I was torn between anger and arousal. By the time she had undressed, they were no longer paying attention to me. She undressed Leonard. Seeing your wife make love to another man is life-changing and not for the better. I didn't mind that she was cheating on me because I agreed to the deal and because I hoped she would decide to stop on her own. She didn't. I hadn't realized until that moment that my heart was beating faster than usual. It took my breath away. Abby announced that it was now my turn while Leonard came to his senses. We moved to the bedroom where, unfortunately, because I was so horny, I tackled her in record time. When Abby returned to the bedroom after kissing Leonard goodbye, she was excited. "Wasn't that wonderful? It was even better than I thought it would be. What did you think?" I expressed my pleasure despite my misgivings. I wanted to wait and see what the results would be in our lives. I was happy that for the next few nights, we had mind-blowing sex. I could only attribute it to our participation in the threesome. A few months passed and a few more MMJ threesomes. I hoped and tried to find a woman to participate, but to no avail. I assumed that women just have an easier time picking up men for sex than men do. I was beginning to think that women didn't find me attractive enough, but some said they would go out with me but wanted to be the only woman. The mind-blowing sex after the threesome sessions became less and less intense as the weeks went on. I didn't have much enthusiasm to continue, but Abby wouldn't stop. That said, of course, we continued to have sex. Abby, however, was rocking the boat herself. "Wendell, you are the most wonderful husband in the world for agreeing to try something new to spice up our life. There is one small change I'd like to make at our next meeting, if you don't mind." "What is it?" "Well, I've noticed that I'm more turned on when you look at me and a man having sex with me than when you and I have sex. Will you let me see what happens if you just look next time? We could have sex right after he leaves. Please." How could I resist her? The water had just warmed to medium. Next time I just watched Abby and a man have sex. Abby seemed insatiable. She wore the man down. And true to her word, she attacked me as soon as the man left and repeated her attacks over the next few nights. Of course, since she was so pleased with me just watching, we continued this scenario the next time, and the next, and the next, and the next. I couldn't feel the water getting hotter. I waited, but dreaded her next statement. "Wendell, some men had a hard time maintaining their stamina while you watched. Do you think you could go to another bedroom while the next man is here? You could listen and probably enjoy it as much as watching. Let's try it once and see, okay? You know my answer." The water had just risen to its maximum. Soon Abby seemed to like one man more than the others, Ted. Ted was the new salesman at the car dealership. He became her regular customer to the exclusion of everyone else. I stopped listening and got busy doing something else around the house. Occasionally, he and Abby would take a break to recuperate and ask me to get them a drink. I complied and was rewarded with a little pity sex later. After they realized I wasn't listening, I decided on a whim to listen once. It took one time of listening before I finally realized I was being boiled alive. Ted asked her why she needed to have sex with a cuckoo in the first place. He volunteered to make love to her as often as she wanted to make up the difference. "Don't make fun of my husband. He's not that bad. I still love him and need him." "Oh, come on, you don't need him around me." "Ted, I need his money right now, at least until I take over the car dealership. I know I don't need him for sex anymore, but I can't help but feel sorry for him. Poor guy. He's doing the best he can with what he's got. Let's not ruin what we have. It shouldn't be too long." "What if I want you to stop making love to him? I don't like sharing. I don't want to risk losing him. I've already shortened our lovemaking time. Let me think about it. The truth is, I love living with him and having sex with you." The frog just jumped out of the pot. I headed to the nearest bar to decide what I should do. After running through a few scenarios, I realized what the best thing to do would be: ruin the broth they were going to make. I got to the house just as Ted was coming out. I would have loved to wipe the smirk off his face when he looked at me. I had hired a private investigator to look into Ted and Abby's personal life outside of my house, as well as their financial affairs. It was all preparation for a possible divorce. Since I had agreed to her seeing Ted, adultery could not be an advantage to me in the divorce. It turned out that hiring a private investigator with an excellent forensic accountant was the best investment I ever made. Since I was having so much trouble finding willing women on my own, I put an ad on Craigslist. I advertised a search for a woman who wants a nice place to live and money in exchange for sex and companionship. Then I described myself and posted a picture of myself online. I couldn't believe myself. I must be better looking than I thought. It took me 3 weeks of interviews before I found what I wanted. Rhonda. Rhonda was a couple years older than me. She was tall with big breasts, maybe up to 20 pounds overweight, but that didn't look too bad on her large body. Beautiful eyes and big, juicy lips. Her hair is dyed red to hide the beginnings of gray hair. Rhonda went through a rough divorce, and her husband had a better lawyer than she did. Financially, she got very little from that marriage. Her ex-husband wore Rhonda down in a drawn-out divorce proceeding until she finally gave up, just to get it over with. Another marriage anytime soon was the last thing on her mind. I told her my plan. She loved it. We had gotten close enough to be compatible. Time to spoil the broth. Abby, can we talk? Sure. About what? Well, I was wondering if we could arrange a regular schedule for when you and Ted meet, like Wednesday and Friday? Why? Well, I'd like to use the guest bedroom on the nights you and Ted aren't using it. I don't understand. Why would you want to do that? Well, I have a friend of my own now, and I'd like to bring her over. You have a what? A friend. A lady friend. Like you and Ted. You cheated on me behind my back? Well, I couldn't find a woman to do an MILF, but I found one who agreed to have sex with me. I don't think you'll mind because we don't have threesomes anymore. It's just you and Ted. Yeah, I think that was the first time Abby was really struck by the realization that she had changed the game from what we had originally agreed to. But why would you do that? Don't I give you enough love to satisfy you? Not anymore. We make love less and less. And when we do, all I get now are sloppy seconds. When I'm with you, it's like you're thinking about Ted while pretending to enjoy sex with me. I think it's only fair that I get to have another woman since you have another man. It was interesting to see her having to use brain cells she'd never used before. Somehow what you're asking for seems unfair. How so? Well, you agreed to our current arrangement. I didn't agree to what you're proposing. Oh, okay. You're the one who suggested a threesome. Then you're the one who suggested I just watch. Then you suggested I leave the room. You've been having sex with another man for months, now just Ted and I. Haven't you noticed an improvement in our lives? Once upon a time, yes, but not lately. Tell me how it's fair that you keep having a lover and I can't. What if I promised you that our life would be better if I also had a lover like you promised me? Honey, I wouldn't mind if we made love more. If that's a problem. Maybe I haven't been as attentive to your needs. I'm sorry. I'm done with the pity love. If I can't make a fair deal, I'll give up on letting you have a lover. She looked surprised. I had her in my grasp and she knew it. I think it's going to be okay. Are you sure she's not trying to trick you into a divorce or get your money? Just like you're sure Ted won't do the same to you. Once again, I saw new brain cells being used. It never occurred to her that Ted might be interested in something more. Well, I'm not sure Ted and I are going to continue our current arrangement that long. Couldn't you wait a little longer? Maybe you and Ted are breaking up. I don't think he knows that. He told me the other day that you'd buy him a new car and make him a pit boss. Was that a parting gift for what he's doing to your body? Oh, the agony Abby's going through. Oh, okay. I'll talk to Ted about scheduling. When do you want your first time? Tomorrow night. I'm tired of the pee routine. So soon? Are you sure she agreed to come into the house where you and I make love? You, me, Ted, and the others? She even wrinkled her nose at that. I added, I'm pretty sure she agreed. The next night I brought Rhonda to the house. She was wearing her sexiest outfit. I have no idea how the bra held her breasts inside. Must have been titanium wiring. I pictured her to Abby, whose face contorted. My wife looked like she was torn between being polite and wanting to tear Rhonda's hair out. I interrupted their pleasantries and explained that Rhonda had to get up early tomorrow. We went upstairs hugging each other. I didn't hear Abby come up the stairs, but I had no doubt she was eavesdropping from the hallway. Shoes were dropped on the floor, keys tossed on the nightstand, and my belt jingled against the armrest of the chair, all to make sure Abby heard. Rhonda and I began to make love, noisy love. Rhonda was naturally noisy, and I encouraged her even more. I used every technique I knew to pleasure a woman. It was great for me, and I thanked Rhonda for being so expressive. I wasn't trying to be too loud. What you heard is what I felt. Wow. I think I'm really enjoying our arrangement. A couple hours later, Rhonda and I went downstairs. Abby was standing downstairs trying to smile like everything was okay. It was obvious that she had been crying. I kissed Rhonda goodbye and promised to call her tomorrow. As soon as Rhonda left, Abby suggested we go to bed. I do need to go to bed, but only to sleep. But I made love to you after I got a new boyfriend. Now I'm really horny. Let's make love like old times. I'm so sorry. Rhonda probably wore me out more than the guys did you. Maybe tomorrow night. The next night, Abby was on fire. There was more anger than love in our sex, but I'm not complaining. I knew she wanted me to say she was better than Rhonda, but I didn't. I wanted her to think about it. When Abby and Ted started making love louder, I laughed. But it didn't matter. Now I left the house whenever they were there together. There was another good reason I was going out. Rhonda had chosen the house for us, and I had paid for it out of the premiums I was getting for the lucrative patents I was developing, and Abby didn't know about it. Rhonda paid no rent or utilities. We had an agreement that she would get the house if she maintained our relationship for 10 years or when I agreed to end it, whichever came first. She delighted me every time I came over. I came more and more often. For many months, I prepared financially. The money I was receiving from the company for my patents increased as I successfully continued to work for my company. This money went into an account I opened with a private consulting firm overseas. I paid Uncle Sam his share and hired a very smart CPA to make sure the money was legitimate and would not be part of the divorce proceedings. Abby and I had an agreement that our affairs would be separated in the divorce, but I needed the extra protection. I didn't trust lawyers. What about divorce? I never thought about it, especially since I learned about the possibility of having to give up too much. I told you I didn't trust lawyers. Abby brought it up. Wendell, I don't think we see each other anymore. Sometimes I think you'd rather divorce and marry that Rhonda. You know, I was thinking the same thing about you and Ted. By the way, how's old Ted doing? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I found out he's cheating on me with another married woman. Dad fired him. He really wasn't a very good salesman. Imagine that. Who would have thought he'd get involved with another married woman? Guess who let her know? You don't need to rub it in. I can't believe I was stupid enough to believe he could actually care about me. I had a man who cared about me, and I took him for granted. I really miss the days when it was just you and me, before all the threesome nonsense. I was really stupid. Wendell, can't we go back to those days? I'm afraid those days are over. In fact, I'm leaving soon. What? I thought you didn't want a divorce? I don't. I just don't want to live with you anymore or have any financial obligations with you. I found out how much money you loaned Ted and how much trouble your dad's dealership is in. You know he has a huge gambling problem? I think Honda headquarters is about to pull the franchise. It'll probably kill the dealership. How do you know about that? You just abandon me when I need you and your support the most. I thought you'd at least give me and Dad a loan to keep the business afloat. We could take out a second mortgage on the house if we didn't have enough. I might think about lending you money. Once Ted pays you back the money you loaned him. She changed the subject. What about our marriage? We've had a lot of good years together. I love you, and I'm sure you still love me. I confess I lost my way for a while. From now on, all my love will be centered on you. I promise. Abby, I don't see any problem staying married to you. I have no financial incentive to divorce you. Rhonda and I have no desire to get married. I admit that I may still love you, but most of the desire to be with you has spilled out of me since you started having sex with other men. But I don't want other men anymore. I only want you, my husband. Not a chance. But I'll see if Rhonda's up for a threesome. Judging by her reaction, I think Abby's pot just boiled over and the hot water really burned her. Turns out my relationship with Abby didn't end there. Rhonda had gone through the financial statements my detective had uncovered. At the beginning of her previous marriage, she had worked as an executive secretary at a Toyota Ford dealership. Rhonda knew the ins and outs of a successful dealership. I loaned her money to take over the management of the car dealership. It was enlightening to see her kick ass when she took over. I was surprised when she asked me if I could keep Abby as a salesperson. She was good at that. For a while, I delighted in the anguished look on Abby's face when I showed up at the car dealership to take Rhonda to lunch. Eventually, I decided to talk to Abby alone. Abby, I'm surprised you haven't filed for divorce. Why? I was glad you didn't. I get some satisfaction knowing we're still married. It also helps me weed out the weirdos who hit on me. I just show them my wedding ring. Say, don't you think it would be cleaner to make our separation official? You'll get some money, it'll help you out. As head salesman here, I enjoy my job. I have to admit, Rhonda's a great boss. It just sucks that she can make love to you and I can't. I think that by staying married to you, I can still hold out a glimmer of hope that you'll come back to me. I don't see that happening. What about sex? I told you it's only if Rhonda agrees to a threesome. She said, no. Could you ask her again? The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.